It just feels nice to win one. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Which Aaron played better tonight? Grossi. And tonight, this morning, we're going to be breaking down the Green Bay Packers Week 2 victory over the Detroit Lions with the score of 35-17. Before we get to that, I want to do a big shout and thank you to some brand new patrons and YouTube members. First, over on the Patreon side of things, we have Eduardo Cullen and we have Corey Rudicilli. A big shout out and thank you to you. And over on the YouTube side of things, we had a bunch of members join over the past few days. We have Steelers Saiyan Jedi. That's a pretty awesome name. We have Corey44, The Boss, Out Missing Class, The Texas Cowboy 56, Kosher Korean, David Dawn, Dean Johannesson. We have Navy Sonic, Jacob Ross, Dan Wisniewski. We have Mathtron 5000, Andy Pham. We have Joshua Ackland. We have Zvire. We have Kaylee Rover. We have Philip Raidmacher. We have Connor Curtin, Shell Bryan, and John Brown. A big shout out and thank you to you all. So the Green Bay Packers heading into this game, let's just say there was a lot of pressure on the Packers. And if that wasn't evident, you could go back and look at the beginning of my live stream as there were a ton of people in there as the Detroit Lions went off to an early lead in that game. And listen, the Lions, they played really well in that first half. They were leading the entire time. That first drive, we stopped them. It was third down, and then Kevin King, of all people, lets a long reception get completed downfield. They go score basically with no problems, and we're like, oh, this is the kind of night it's going to be. And throughout the entire evening, especially in the first half, there was a significant lack of pressure on Jared Goff and the Detroit Lions. And there's two reasons for that. One, you had an impressive offensive line from the Detroit Lions. And two, Zadarius Smith is out. And so you had Rashawn Gary and Preston Smith, who are really going to be responsible for pass rushing duties. So the first half especially was rough when trying to get pressure. It dabbled throughout the game. There was some pressure on Goff later on, but for the most part, this is an area where the Packers desperately need to improve. They were definitely missing Zadarius Smith, who's going to be out for at least another couple of weeks because he's on IR. But yeah, we cannot get him back soon enough. And speaking on the defense, I will say we did a pretty nice job in the run defense. Of course, Jamal Williams coming back for this game, dancing before the game started in Lambeau and a single tear rolling down the face. But I will say, Jared Goff was the leading rusher. So considering that we basically allowed 46 yards from him after letting Kamara and Tony Jones run all over us, I'll kind of take that. And a lot of publicity and media coverage is going to be on Kevin King, especially for a couple of blown coverages. But Kevin King also made a touchdown-saving pass breakup in the end zone. So you kind of get either really good Kevin King who makes that clutch play or the guy who lets up a TD. And there's kind of no in between. This did lead, however, to a lot more of rookie corner Eric Stokes, who had a phenomenal game. He had some great tackles. He had a few pass breakups. And I can tell that Packer fans are definitely going to want to see more of Eric Stokes. He has that closing speed. And so hats off to Eric Stokes because he had himself a great night. And while the offense for the Packers started off slow, they really picked up in the second half, scoring 21 points, 14 in the third quarter. Of course, the hero of the game that everyone's going to talk about besides Aaron Rodgers is going to be running back Aaron Jones, who carried the ball 17 times for 67 yards with a touchdown and had 6 receptions for 48 yards and 3 touchdowns. 4 TDs on the night. And Aaron Rodgers himself, 22 for 27, 255 yards, 4 touchdowns. The other touchdown went to Robert Tonyan, Devontae Adams catching 8 passes for 121 yards. So overall, a pretty efficient night for both Aarons. Now, this has nothing to do with stats or anything like that, but Aaron Jones when getting into the end zone on one of those touchdowns, lost his necklace, which has his father's ashes in it, which the groundskeepers are currently looking for. And I was like, oh my God, you need to find it. Aaron Jones in his press conference basically said, like, if he was going to lose it anywhere, his dad would have wanted him to lose it in the end zone, which just made my heart explode. So I hope he finds it. So this is a non-story, but you just love Aaron Jones. I'm so happy that he's back on this team, and he really played well tonight, considering that he had 9 yards last week against the Saints, and they couldn't get anything going. This just shows how good Aaron Jones is as a player, not only on the ground, but also as a passing threat as well. For the Lions, Jared Goff, 26 for 36, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, an interception, 1 lost fumble, ran for 46 yards, as I said. Their leading receiver was TJ Hawkinson, 8 receptions for 66 yards, and 1 touchdown. I will say one of the big things that the Packers were able to do well, 0 penalties committed. This was relatively a clean game. This was not a Cowboys-Chargers scenario. So I was glad the referees really didn't have a say in what was going on in the game. In record news, Rodgers became the 10th all-time leading passer when it comes to passing yards. And let's be very honest, the Packers needed this game. And I know people are already saying, well, it's against the Lions, who last week started to make a comeback against the 49ers, and it's only 2 weeks in. People are like, oh, they're the worst defense. And I'm like, I don't really know about that. But the Packers needed this game. It was a divisional game, which could go either way, and it was a close first half, and the Packers then were able to control the clock and basically have their way with the Lions in the second half. They have a very difficult task with dealing with the San Francisco 49ers on Sunday Night Football next week, and I am concerned about that lack of pass rush. I am concerned because the 49ers are a good football team. I'm concerned how our offensive line is going to hold up, which I saw people kind of insulting the offensive line. I think for the most part, they gave Aaron Rodgers a good amount of time on the majority of plays. I know Rodgers missed MVS on 3 throws, which he was saying in his press conference that he really regretted, but I think that this, at least for the meantime, has silenced people at least a little bit. And Rodgers mentioned this in his press conference because he said, and I quote, lots of people like to say a lot of bullshit, and it's nice to come back in here after a game like that. And basically he said, hey, it's nice to have the trolls off our back for another week, because it is a week-to-week league. And let's be completely honest, the amount of overreactions that came out against the Packers last week after getting blown out by the Saints, who then got blown out by the Panthers, there's no reason to like exhaust all of your energy in it if you're a Packers fan, because it's going to be like this for a while. The team that you see now is going to be a different team after this September. Hopefully it's a healthy one. Hopefully it's a better one. Joe Barry, credit where credit is due, made adjustments in the second half. That defense played much, much better. That offense needs to get started a little bit earlier, especially against really good teams. But other than that, the Green Bay Packers were able to pull it off. Rodgers in his press conference was a little snarky, saying like, hey, just wanted to show that we cared a little bit more, considering all of the outlandish things about his body language. And it seems like he was spaced out and didn't care anymore and all that crap. So silencing people for just now. Rodgers continues his dominance after a regular season loss, and the Green Bay Packers move to 1-1, leading the division with the Chicago Bears, while the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings are at the bottom of the North at 0-2. So they have a big Sunday night game coming up against the San Francisco 49ers. We'll see how that thing goes. They will definitely need to bring their A game, but let me know what you think down in the comments below. How'd you feel about the game this evening? Were you nervous? First time? No, I've been nervous lots of times. Let me know. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy, all social media, see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But folks, I just want to take a hot second, before I close this show out. It's 12:46 a.m. when I am finishing recording this, and it's only week 2 in the NFL. We just concluded week 2. And I'm gonna have to edit this, put some graphics on it, and post it. And then tomorrow is another full day of content. But considering that this is like my only full-time job now, the first time that this has happened in 6 years, where I left teaching and now we're doing this, I couldn't be happier. And I truly, truly appreciate whether you've been here for a long time or you're brand spanking new. I really appreciate the support. People showing up to the streams, the comments, the donations, the likes, the shares, random things on the video. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. It feels really, really good. I'm doing something that I really, really love. And I'm working my ass off. And I hope that you're enjoying what's getting put out because I'm really enjoying doing it. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.